Hello there and welcome. Today I want to do a review on Beverly Hills Cop. So here I have the Blu-ray trilogy. I believe I've watched Beverly Hills Cop, the original, at some point. Couldn't remember it. I certainly hadn't seen the two sequels. I saw this out in the wild, thought yes, great chance to watch all three of them. Not necessarily in anticipation for the fourth one. I'm not necessarily looking forward to that, just like I wasn't looking forward to the Bad Boys return. Um, so we'll see how that goes. But I just really wanted to dig into this trilogy. And yeah, it's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was a childhood, um, hero of mine. He. As I was growing up, he was in a lot of children's films, so that's what I know him from. But here was a chance to see him in his youth. I know he starred in. I think he starred in a film called 48 Hours, which I haven't seen. That was in '82. This is the original Beverly Hills Cop was '84. So it's still in his infancy, I think, of acting in films and Hollywood. So Beverly Hills Cop. Let's draw for the notes. I have a lot of great things to say about Beverly Hills Cop. I think it's amazing. I think it's one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen. I've watched it twice now. I really can't get enough of it. It's a tour de force of Eddie Murphy. Not many comedians who can do stuff on stage as a stand-up act then transitioned to being glorious, great entertainers on film sets, and Eddie Murphy does that, and it just feels like in Beverly Hills Cop he's just so raw, and explosive with everything he does. I think, I believe, he was probably a nightmare for the cast, for the director, for ruining, not necessarily him ruining takes, but him making people laugh on set. I'd love to know love to see some blooper reels or some how many outtakes there are and how many times they had to do the scene again. Um, I'm really curious about how much ad libbing was involved. I would imagine there was a fair amount due to him being a comedian, and due to him just being he was on fire in this film, truly on fire. It's really made me curious to see other films, like I said, like 48 Hours, and see what he was like in that era of the 80s. No holds barred, nothing can hold him back. It's only until the sequels, especially the third one, where he sort of changes his performance style. So there's numerous moments in this film that I love. First, I'll preface it, say that okay, he's a cop from Detroit. He goes over to investigate his friend's death in Beverly Hills. So this is like a totally different scene for him, going from Detroit, the sort of like more rugged people there, sort of get stuff done, don't play things by the book necessarily. And then Beverly Hills is because that's the sort of what's the word? The sort of the whole not the tone, but there's a Beverly Hills is played straightforward. All the cops there are played by the rules. They'll do their own friends in. They'll do their own sort of colleagues in, if it means just doing everything by the paper, which means cop work is slower. Things take more time. You don't nab the bad guys like you should. And then Eddie Murphy comes along and he crashes through windows. He impersonates people. He gets hotels for free. He does all these things to sort of gain an advantage and in his own unique way to just smash through barriers, whereas other people won't. So that leads me to go on to a couple of scenes that I like. He gets thrown through a window after confronting like the big bad, after sort of suspecting that he's involved in his friend's murder, and his response. This is why I wondered about the ad libbing and whatnot, because once he gets thrown through that window, he gets into an argument with some police officers, and it's amazing. It's truly like some of the greatest thing I've ever seen on film. It's so funny. And then he goes on to say about the jaywalking if he was thrown out of a car. It's just amazing. I'm sure no one's got a problem with that scene. He's just so witty. He's on fire. Another scene I like is when he meets his friend for the for the first time in a while, his lady friend in like an art gallery. He meets this lad who works there. I think he owns the shop or whatever, or he's like some sort of art seller or director or artist. I'm not quite sure, but their back and forths are hilarious. I'm not sure how many people are on board with those scenes, but I think that's one of my favorite scenes. The way that the man sort of pronounces words, it's not totally correct, and he just matches Eddie Murphy, I think, on hilarity and sort of timing, and just I don't know how much of that was ad lib, but that was great. Yeah, I mean, the pacing of this film, it's just from one thing to the next. And if it's not an action scene, it's Eddie Murphy being funny, it's Eddie Murphy ad libbing, it's Eddie Murphy worming his way through something, masquerading as someone. It's him interacting with like a Beverly Hills cop, where he's, well, like I say, that they're so straight laced, so it's so funny how he's just like he can't believe how how goody two shoes they're being in his world. And we also have the cast for this is really good. Don't let that go over your head. You've got such an uncanny performance from and it's not his fault. It's the man from Breaking Bad, and but him in his younger days with a bit of hair, and it's just really uncanny. Yeah, I think obviously some locations are used repetitively, like the bad guys play like the mansion, the Beverly Hills police headquarters and whatnot. But like it does sort of spread its wings, I think, using Beverly Hills and whatnot, and especially going from Detroit to Beverly, it's such a change up in scenery, isn't it? And so I think the large part of why I like Axel Foley so much. That's Eddie Murphy's character. Really great name, by the way. Um, is because he does come across as a hero, like a lovable hero. He does some rogue things, which is all like automatically sort of something that I gravitate towards. But also, he does it for a sense of justice. He's doing it for his friend. It's benevolent, isn't it? It's not just yeah, and we see that done in the sequels, and they actually the gravity of his response to things that happen to him in life get more severe. Yeah, he's truly Eddie Murphy, like Axel Foley, truly a menace. He's a menace as a character, and he's probably a menace on set. And so that leads me to talk about the characters, the other main characters that Axel Foley meets, the Beverly Hills cops as such. The two of them, and I must say, so one of them, the younger guy, is played by a man called Judge Reinhold. Um, and I tell you what, I think I looked it up after my first viewing, but certainly after my second viewing, I still had to look it up because I firmly believed, and I was looking at the younger fella Reinhold, and I thought, yeah, that's one half of Bill and Ted from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I was sure of it. It's not. It's Judge Reinhold. Um, yeah, and he's great as well. He gets sort of he plays off of Axel Foley really well because he's sort of like the young star. He wants to be. He's got that sort of energy in him as well. But he's obviously trained in Beverly Hills and plays by their books. But like you can tell, he wants to sort of break out of that cage and sort of roll with Axel a little bit. And then the older fella, equally, he's a good guy at heart, and he sort of wants to do sort of the other stuff to get the police work done. But he's also been sort of institutionalized in his way of police working. But eventually, Axel Foley grinds him down and plays it really well in like strip clubs, and yeah, has some really great scenes between the three of them, with Foley just sort of like slowly weaning them out of um, their suit wearing sort of stiffness, and it creates a bond between the pair, which is really nice. Yeah, obviously Eddie Murphy's sort of body language, being like a comedian, he's so great at body language and expressing himself, even when he's not talking. Who like the way he moves his body, dancing or being funny, pulling faces, the laugh he does constantly. Um, and I'd hate to do this review without mentioning the theme song, Axel. I think it's called Axel F. I think the theme song. Theme song is brilliant. It's one of the greatest theme songs ever made. Um, Seeing as though it's called Axel F, was it composed for this film? I'm not sure. Um, it is overly used. it's overly used during the whole trilogy. Certainly, that's probably like, yeah, that would be my biggest criticism of this film. It is overly used, but it doesn't ever grate on me. It's just in mad crazy scenes where it didn't need to be that it is used. Weirdly enough. But when you got something that amazing, I guess the director and whoever was involved in that process couldn't help themselves, or maybe they was told, look, let me know we've composed this for it. It's really good. Slap it in there. Right. Okay, I think I'll end this review by saying that it was the number one in the box office, North American box office in 1984, beating Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones: The Temple of Doom, and Gremlins. That's stiff competition. That is. Yeah, and then so finally, by the end, even like the sort of lieutenant, or the sort of like the superintendent, the guy in charge of the Beverly Hills Police Department, he even he is sort of warmed to Axel Foley, and he sort of helps the lads out when they've sort of caused chaos, bringing down the bad guy at the mansion with a crazy shootout. So it was just nice to sort of get get those guys on board, and them not being so stiff and sort of yeah, upper lipped. That was a really nice sort of like ending for this story. So that's my review of Beverly Hills Cop. It's amazing. I'm sure I'm sure many of you have watched it. If you haven't, you know, I'm not spinning you a tale. It is really that good. The sequel reviews to follow. Thank you.